Hi, I'm Katie, and welcome to Hey It Gets Better. This is the podcast where I chat to people about the ups and downs of their lives and how they got to where they are now. Life can be pretty tough sometimes, there's no escaping that fact. But at Hey It Gets Better, we're all about talking about the journey. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and remember, hey, it gets better. Hi, welcome to Hey It Gets Better, and a massive welcome to Olivia Hanlon, who is the founder of Girls in Marketing, which is a fantastic community that has really taken off this year. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Katie. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. So I really want to get cracking with your story because I think it's such a great one because you've never really knew how big Girls in Marketing was going to grow. So I want to ask you, it's a massive question, but what challenges have you had to overcome or have you faced to get to where you are now?
Oh, so many. Kind of going back a little bit in terms of a few years. When I first started university, I was studying psychology, so I don't actually have a background in marketing, which, considering I run a platform for marketers, you'd think, oh, at least she'd have a degree in marketing, but I don't. My degree is in psychology. I have work experience and I'm all self-taught in terms of marketing wise. But anyway, when I started university, I was doing psychology, and one of the main challenges that I found going to university in general was the fact that we're kind of taught that university is a fun place to be. You can do whatever you want and kind of party away. And I had this real kind of not necessarily imagination, but I just kind of thought to myself, this is what university life is going to be like. I don't need to put any effort into my studies, don't need to do anything extra. And I got there and I did just that. I did lots of partying, I did lots of kind of drinking and going out, freshers, and I really enjoyed myself. And it came to the end of my first semester in university and I was kind of failing modules, which, as someone who also had a love for psychology and a love for the course and a love for university in general, I was really upset. And the reality of that is that you have to put effort into university. And that was so challenging for me as a person because I was conditioned to think that university wasn't necessarily a lot of hard work. And I've always been someone who has to work for what I get. And that's been the same all throughout education and in jobs and again in business as well. And I went to university with the notion that I would just go and I'd do amazing and I'd be able to drink and I'd be able to, go out and not necessarily go to all my lectures, not necessarily do extra stuff. And then when it came to it and I was literally scraping passes, sometimes I wasn't, I failed one module. I was like, this is the reality of, kind of working, and this is the reality of university in general. And I think that was a challenge for me in terms of mindset because I had to completely change the way I was thinking in terms of education, because we are taught, obviously, university is like the next step in terms of education, not necessarily for everyone, but those who enjoy education especially love university. And I found it so challenging to take that step and actually start putting effort into university, which I know might sound silly. And for a lot of people, it might be, if you go to university, obviously you've got to put effort in. But I do think that there is a notion there that we don't put a lot of effort into university.
Definitely. I just thinking back to I've literally graduated this year, and I don't know why, but sometimes it was cool not to do the work, or it's cool to kind of be that person doing the late night because you went out the night before. And there's something I don't know why, but people kind of are like, oh, that's good on you, for doing that. I don't know why it happens because it doesn't make sense, but I feel like it does.
No, yeah, it definitely does. I think it makes sense that you have to put effort into university, but when I first went, I just wasn't really under the impression that I had to. So a challenge for me in that situation was just realizing that this whole kind of thing of university is a lot more effort than you actually think it is. And then I would say another main challenge for me kind of fast forward a little bit to Girls in Marketing mainly. When I started Girls in Marketing as a blog and an Instagram page last year, I was just doing it around my full-time job. So I had a lot of difficulties then in terms of growing the page and kind of making sure that everything was going well, making sure that everyone was happy. But I was doing it completely for free. I wasn't charging anything to anyone. I wasn't putting out anything that I could, that people could pay for. And I was doing that around my full-time job. Sometimes on lunches, I would be doing graphics for social media. I would be creating different things for people, resources. And that was a real difficulty for me. And I know, speaking to so many other people, that was a difficulty for them. But one of the main things for me after that, which was, I would say, the most challenging thing I've ever went through up to now in life, is making the decision, and the really difficult decision, to quit my job in May. So I quit my job in the middle of a global pandemic, because if you've been living under a rock, that's currently the situation we're in. And I decided that I wanted to pursue Girls in Marketing and freelancing full time after working in full time in marketing. And I enjoyed what I was doing, but I just felt like Girls in Marketing had really taken off, and I wanted to ride the wave of its success, and I didn't really feel like I could wait around. And I think sometimes in life you can't wait around for opportunity. If there's something there that you've been putting effort into, and now's the time, then it is definitely about just taking that leap of faith. And it was very difficult for me, and it was definitely a huge challenge to identify the fact that I was ready to leave my full-time job, to pursue Girls in Marketing, and to do freelancing as well. I wasn't necessarily ready mentally, but I was definitely ready to face a challenge. And that is definitely what's got to where I am today. Girls in Marketing wouldn't be what it is if I didn't quit my job 6 months ago, and I now put 95, well, I would say about 80% of my time into Girls in Marketing, and then 20% into freelancing as well. So it definitely is about taking the challenges and facing them head on. I definitely did with that, and I have ever since I've been in university, and I kind of realized that we had to put effort into right now to running Girls in Marketing and having the challenges of every day that comes with that. But equally, quitting my full-time job and just thinking to myself, do I have the ability to do this? And I didn't really know, but I thought I'll give it a go, because I think that's my attitude to everything in life.
Yeah, I really love though how you went towards the challenging thing. I think sometimes it's easy to just play it safe and do what you can do, but there's so much you can gain from going towards a challenge, and the level of self-improvement and just getting new skills, which I don't think people celebrate enough. Unless it's successful, then people celebrate it, but you don't know it's going to be successful until you take that risk.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it is about taking the risk, because sometimes we take risks and it pays off. As you said, we are successful, and sometimes it doesn't. And that is definitely something that I had to think about before I handed my notice in, before I fully decided that I wanted to kind of pursue Girls in Marketing. It's something that I thought, I've got bills to pay, I've got, I haven't got any mouths to feed. Well, I actually do now, because I have a new puppy, but at that time I didn't have any mouths to feed. So it was still about kind of looking after myself and looking after the rent and the bills and everything I had to pay. And it was a big challenge for me, and it was a really difficult decision. But I'm just very glad that I took it, and it did definitely pay off. And we should start celebrating decisions, because they are so difficult for people, and we can have battles in our heads every day as to whether we make the right decision. And until things start paying off and you start seeing rewards, then you never really know.
Yeah, I think it's just great what you said there, and it's made me think a lot more about taking the risks and going towards the challenges. So when you kind of handed in your notice during a global pandemic as well, how did you psych yourself up for that? Because I can imagine that being quite a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. I think having a good support network is, key to everything in life. And definitely for me, it was having a really loving family and a partner around me, supporting me in everything that I do, especially, you know, having those pep talks with people. My partner especially, he hyped me up quite a lot, and I don't know if that's a good thing, because sometimes it is and sometimes it's not, but it definitely was in this case. And he was like, you can do it, you know, I've got all faith in you, you're ready to do it, you know, ride the wave, let's go to, you know, success. And I think that was amazing for me to have that, to have someone next to me kind of cheering me on and being a cheerleader. He definitely is one of my biggest cheerleaders in life. And I think that having a support network like family and like friends and, you know, partners and stuff is really important when you are doing something like making a life-changing decision, because it really was life-changing for me. Yeah, I think that is probably the most important thing, and also being in the right headspace as well. So I knew what I was doing. I had a plan for what I was doing. I was very much ready. I felt very much ready to do it. But I know that sometimes people aren't necessarily in the right headspace to kind of face the challenges. And I think sometimes making a difficult decision, but you're not in the right headspace, isn't always the best idea. But again, it comes back to family and friends, asking people's opinions, asking what they think, asking for help if you need it, especially when you have a decision to make. Sometimes it can be difficult to make them on your own. And in all honesty, I probably didn't make the decision to leave my full-time job on my own. I asked so many people. I had countless conversations with my mom. I had countless conversations with my nan, with my boyfriend, with literally everyone, talking to them, saying, you know, what if I do this and it doesn't go right? Or what if I do this and it does go right? And I think it is having those conversations with people about the decisions that will allow you to make the change and make the leap, and also to keep you confident as well, especially, like I said before, if you have a cheerleader or someone that can help you along the way, that will help you keep going as well, because we are often our own worst enemy. And I definitely had a lot of doubt when I was, you know, kind of handing in my notice and going to do girls and marketing full time. And I still have doubts to this day. You know, sometimes we kind of have to combat imposter syndrome. We have to, because we all doubt ourselves sometimes. And I think that having that support network around you, having those cheerleaders, having people to support you along the way is really, really important. But equally, believing in yourself as well, because it's all well and good having someone next to you cheering you on, but if you don't believe in your idea or you don't believe in your plan, then it probably won't succeed. It is about having the ability to believe that you will succeed and that you will ride the wave and that you will see success at some point. And I'm just very lucky that that has came with what I've been doing and how I've been doing it. And I think, you know, a lot of people do doubt themselves, but success is, you know, relative. You don't necessarily always have to do these amazing things and reach these amazing goals to be successful. If you have, you know, your own goals and your own kind of missions as a person and you reach them, that's success as well. And I think that, you know, if you do have, like I said, the support network and everything kind of all together at once, the belief, your support network, then you're going to reach that success, but not necessarily the success that society tells us, but your own kind of individual success.
Yeah, there's so much wisdom there. You're really wise, Olivia. There's a lot really to unpick there, and I think, would you have said that, you know, like a year ago, your version of success would have been girls in marketing?
Definitely not. I mean, a year ago, kind of now, I was obviously doing girls in marketing and I was running it, but I never thought in a million years that, you know, fast forward 6 months from kind of a year ago, that I'd be in the position to quit my full-time job to monetize girls in marketing, to do freelancing. I never thought that that would be the position I'd be in. And I don't know, I think it's a bit scary thinking that that would be the position I'm in, but I also think that that's quite a good almost like a good thing for everyone is not knowing the future. And I love the excitement sometimes of challenges as well. And like I said, it was such a difficult decision, but it was also a very exciting decision. And I think sometimes we can get mixed up in all different emotions, but I was definitely really excited when I did have the chance to monetize girls in marketing and kind of help the community grow even more, because that was a huge thing for me. I didn't ever really want to charge people for what we were doing, but I was spending so much time on it that I just I had to monetize it in some way, which is why we still to this day do things for an affordable price to make sure that it's still accessible. Because in an ideal world we would do everything for free, but I am just one person. Our team is only small, and we are obviously giving up hours and hours in our days, our weeks, our months to produce content, to produce resources, to do webinars, to do workshops, to write courses. And that sort of thing, it does take time, and time essentially means that we need to be paid for what we're doing. And everyone is kind of at the moment against the whole unpaid work scenario, and I think that you wouldn't expect anyone else to work for free, so you shouldn't really expect a community or a platform like ours to either. And I think that goes with everything, but it is a natural step that I think if you are kind of building a platform or building a business, it's great to have it there for free for people to start off with, and then kind of make the transition when you feel ready. I don't really think that that's relevant to what we were talking about, but there you go. I love to waffle.
No, but it does, it does make sense. And I think there is like an ongoing sort of divide between, having a passion or having a hobby that you do, and then that kind of, there also is having something that you do for a living. And when you're passionate about something and you love it so much, you often want to do it for a living, but you can't do that until you charge effectively. And I think that we should celebrate people who make that crossover like you're doing, where you are charging for some stuff, but you're charging for stuff that is worth it and is helpful and valuable.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And I think, anyone can kind of start something up and create something, but it's what you make of it and how much value you are giving to people that really makes a difference.
Definitely. And so, has it all been really smooth riding since you've kind of started Girls in Marketing? Because I know, like, I see loads of it online and stuff, and I'm in the community, and it is an amazing community, but I know that behind closed doors, sometimes it's not as smooth as it looks.
I would say not necessarily challenges with the community or anything like that, but I definitely think doing something like this can get quite lonely in terms of, at the beginning, I was doing pretty much everything myself. We obviously had a team of writers helping with resources and webinars and stuff, but for the majority of the time I was doing things by myself. And it was only in the summertime, a few months after I decided to go it alone and do Girls in Marketing, that I made our kind of first hire with Martha, our now PR and communications coordinator. And it wasn't necessarily something that was difficult for me in terms of actually doing it, because I love doing Girls in Marketing. I say to people on the daily, I feel like it's a pinch me, kind of wake me up, I'm dreaming moment. But when it was a lonely road for the first few months, and I decided to kind of get Martha on board to help us with obviously the PR situation, and she was super passionate and inspired and empowering as well. But having her on board and then getting more team members involved, growing the team, growing the community has really been a positive for me. I would probably say the biggest negative was I'm now working a lot more from home, and as is everyone right now with the current pandemic, and I think it can get quite a lonely place. And having people often underestimate the value of team and of team members, whether that's colleagues, whether that's just people on your course at university or in your class at college. People underestimate the value of going to someone and having the ability to brain work with people and network with people. I just said brain work with people, but I meant brainstorm, because I was thinking brainstorm and network. It's just really invaluable in terms of having someone there next to you. And I think growing the team to what it is now, the wonderful 4 girls that are kind of doing everything at the moment, has been great, because not only are they passionate about our community, they're passionate about the business and helping us grow, and equally it makes it less lonely for me. And that is probably one of the biggest challenges that I've faced with girls in marketing, and I think a lot of freelancers face that as well. I know that when I was in university and I was freelancing and doing marketing stuff, then I felt lonely, because that is the whole reason that Girls in Marketing was set up, was because I wanted a support network of other passionate and inspired marketers. And that is essentially the reason that we've set up. And again, like, the reason that I have faced challenges is because of kind of loneliness. And it's great to have time on your own and time to reflect, but I think it's also great to, like I said, I was going to say wrong again, brainstorm and network with people just around you, and having the ability to chat to people and, say you've got an idea and what do you think, and having those innovative ideas is really important. And now, we've got a really great team of girls: Lauren, Martha, Debbie, Ruth, and Lois. And I think they're all amazing in their own ways. They help me as well combat any challenges that I have. And I definitely think everyone who kind of does business or does anything within their kind of life, they should have people to reflect off and be able to ask questions to, even if they're not necessarily more senior than you, because a lot of the team obviously are students and graduates, and they're kind of new to marketing, but they want the experience and they're hungry to learn more. But I still felt like they deserved that that go at what they were doing. And equally, I wanted people to, like I said, talk to and have a chat with and be able to feel less lonely. And I think we need to normalize in business and kind of having your own business and freelancing the fact that sometimes it can be a quite lonely place, especially working from home. And kind of the whole pandemic hasn't really helped in terms of working from home. And I think loneliness is at the moment at an all-time high, and that is something that a lot of people struggle with.
Definitely. And I think with loneliness as well, it's not just about like, you can have loads of friends and stuff, but when your friends are all at work and they're working and you're a freelancer, you aren't working with anyone. And I think it's like a different type of loneliness. I think loneliness is so much more complicated, I think, than this kind of basic version that you're by yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I like I said before, I have a very loving family, partner, friends. I have lots of people I can chat to, but it's a totally different situation. Like you said, most people have 9-to-5 jobs, obviously, other than other freelancers, which is great if you can talk to them. But most people have 9-to-5 jobs. Not everyone is there ready to chat to you all the time, but equally, if you have someone that you can chat to, or that you can bounce ideas off, even if it is unsociable hours, if you've got an idea at 11 o'clock at night and you want to have a chat to someone, then you can definitely call upon that person. Definitely someone who's done that with me is Gabby. I know she's been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Gabby from Talk 20s. We've really grown an amazing friendship, especially this year. We're both in similar positions in terms of running communities, and we are amazing as a team, but equally together in terms of chatting about things. And I often message her and I say, I've got this idea, what do you think of it? And she equally does the same with me. And it's great to have that friendship and kind of business partnership with someone, to be able to chat to them and get ideas from them as well.
I remember Gabby saying, when I first spoke to Gabby, she was like, oh yeah, do you know who Olivia is? And I was like, yeah, I do. I know her for Girls in Marketing. And she was saying the exact same thing about you. And I think that what you because when you get a job, you do make friends with your co-workers, but you don't have the opportunity when you freelance.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to do that, thanks to social media, Facebook groups and things connecting people, I think that's so valuable.
Mm-hmm. No, it really is.
So I think one of the things I tend to ask people is, when you get stuck in like a rut, or you are struggling, what do you do to get out of it?
Loneliness. I just chat to people, and I have a phone call or a FaceTime with someone and just have a chat to them. I like to have a chat with my nan. I know that sounds so strange, but when I especially feel like I want to have a chat with someone, I give her a call. I just give her a little WhatsApp, "Are you free for a chat?" And she's like, "Always," and just give her a little heads up on the phone and we have a chat. Equally, I FaceTime my mom, I FaceTime some of my friends and stuff, and I think that really helps, especially at the moment. In terms of like creative slums, though, I just tend to take a break. I am one of these people who loves to be go, go, go all the time. And that isn't necessarily because I feel I have to, it's just because I really enjoy what I do. I enjoy marketing, and I also enjoy running Girls in Marketing as well. And I think that because I enjoy it so much, it doesn't feel like it's a job, which is amazing. But it also means that I fail to take a break sometimes. But when I am in a kind of creative slump and I'm not really kind of feeling what I'm doing, or I'm creating something and I'm not sure where to go with it, I just have decided quite recently to just decide that I was going to take a break, that I'm just going to say, that's it. Even if it's in the middle of the day, I'm just like, that's it. Let me just have a few hours break. Let me just chill. Let me kind of recoup, and we'll come back to it. Because I think one of the hardest things is sometimes just facing the fact that you just don't have any ideas right now, and that's totally fine. And I was in this position, actually, come to speak of it, yesterday. So yesterday afternoon, I was really just not feeling anything. I was in one of them moods where it's just kind of like, I cannot be bothered. So I sat there trying to do work, and I was just like, there's so many things going on in my head right now. I just need to take a break. So I just stopped, and I put on some YouTube on the telly, and I just watched it for a little bit. And it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is obviously the joys of not having a 9 to 5. And I just watched it for a little bit, and I just chilled, and I thought, you know what? I can come back to that work. I can do it tomorrow. I can do it another day. I don't often give myself time off. That is another joy of working for yourself, is not having much time off. But I just think we often too much don't take those breaks, those well-earned breaks. And I think that, if someone feels like they're in a slump right now, especially creatively, or they feel like they're not really getting anywhere, just take a little break and recoup. Have a brainstorm after you've done so. Try and get your creative juices flowing, especially if you are someone who maybe wants to start a business, or you want to do something that you've never done before. Having a break, having a chill, breathing in some fresh air, and then coming back and really putting some effort in, brainstorming some ideas, really getting into what you're doing, can be so important. And I think it's underestimated as well.
Yes, I'm literally listening to you, like nodding my head, like you can't see it, but it's just because I think as well there's this idea that if you're in a creative role, or you're trying to think of things, that you just flick a switch and it will happen. But we're not robots, and that's why sometimes, like, that's why some people leave the like traditional 9 to 5, is because you might need that like 3 o'clock time to go off and chill and relax, and then come back with the ideas. And I experience it all the time. Like, I mean, that's why most of us get ideas in the shower, because it's like the one time we're just not thinking about it and we're resting and relaxing. So that's like a great piece of advice there, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, in the shower, I often do sing, so I don't think I'm coming up with my next big idea in the shower. I love a good like musical theatre number in the shower.
Oh yes, I'm literally like always sing Hamilton in the shower, or a bit of Chicago. Oh, love it.
Whatever's on the mind.
Yeah. Oh, literally, I'm like belting out like it's so tragic. I can't sing, but I love musical theatre so much.
Honestly, I do too. I love musical theatre.
I think as well it's so important to take time to do the stuff that you love as well. Like, not everything has to be about work. And I think if you're running a business or you're working for yourself, it's so easy to fall into that trap of like constantly doing it, because you care about it, you love it, you wouldn't be doing it otherwise. But you have to take time for that other stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like I said before, sometimes when you love what you do, it's amazing and it's great. And that is definitely the situation I'm in. But it's not always about going, going, going all the time. Sometimes it is about taking that break and realizing that, you're not necessarily in the best mindset right now in terms of creativity, coming back, recouping and understanding later, maybe a day or two later, just kind of understanding. And I think, weekends, we're kind of ingrained to think that weekends are like the time for relaxation, right? Now, I understand totally if you're in a 9 to 5 and you work Monday to Friday and you only have the weekends. We are kind of conditioned into thinking that weekends are for relaxation. Education wise, high school, it's Monday to Friday, unless you go to Saturday school, which if so is tragic. But everything is, relaxation on the weekend. And sometimes I think I don't want to relax for the weekend. Sometimes on a Tuesday, I want to relax. Sometimes I just do work all throughout the weekend. I don't necessarily work 9 to 5 on a Saturday or a Sunday because that would be savage. But I do, take some time to do work on those days because then it kind of almost, which is, the successes and the kind of good things about working from home, but I just kind of do things every now and again. I don't necessarily always say I have to do work on this day or I have to do work on this day.
Yes, and also during the week you get weekdays offers, like because I freelance, and when you can get 2 for 1 on a Wednesday, why are you going to wait till Saturday to go out? Take advantage of it, I think. And I think as well, you have to listen to your body. Like today, I had a nap at 12 o'clock because I stayed up last night working, and I was exhausted. If I stayed awake, I would have produced rubbish stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like listening to your body and like kind of breaking free from that, feeling like you have to do that 9 to 5. If you don't have to, you don't. And I think that's really important thing to kind of train yourself out of.
Mm-hmm. But it does take a long time because we are conditioned from such a young age of going to school every day into that routine of the weekends for relaxation. Sometimes if you, like you said, if you want to go to the cinema on a Wednesday because, you've got the time to do it, then why not? I know that when I was a student in uni, I loved doing things of a week, but often, because I was having more like days off, I would work quite late. I used to love staying up and kind of doing work in the library in uni, even just freelance work, not necessarily uni work. And I used to love like staying there till like 1 or 2 a.m., which for a lot of people might seem crazy, but that's because I'd have the day off and I'd go chilling. I went to uni in Birmingham and I'd go chilling around the Bull Ring, I'd go shopping, and then it'd reach like 5 and I'd be like, right, let's go back to uni. Everyone else would, go off home, like go and relax, and then I'd be like in uni with me kind of meal deal or whatever and the meal prep that I'd prepped the night before, and I'd be chilling in uni till like 1 in the morning, and it was amazing. And I actually had a friend at uni, Jess, and we did a lot of that together because she was very much like me and enjoyed the kind of unsociable hours. And I still do that now. Me and my partner are quite workaholics, if you will. We love doing bits and bobs and doing things all the time, and we love like kind of working the more unsociable hours, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I totally understand if you have a 9 to 5 and that works for you and it works for a lot of people. It's great for sleeping routines and it's definitely great for having a routine, but it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And I think we need to normalize, if you don't necessarily want to do things at a certain time, just because society says you should doesn't actually mean that you need to.
Yes. What I'd really like to ask you now is kind of what would you say to someone who right now they are feeling like they're in a bit of a rut? They feel like it isn't going to get better. What would you, and they just don't know what to do. What would you say to that person?
That's a really difficult question because I think sometimes when you're in that mindset, it is really difficult to get out of it. And I remember being in that mindset probably more when I was younger, in terms of being in a slump and not really knowing what to do and feeling that you're a little bit lost. And I think people always say, oh, don't worry, like I mean, that's the word of your, that's the title of your podcast, is It Gets Better. It does, it genuinely does, but it's hard to sometimes say that in words. Like, the words sometimes don't really mean anything. It's okay to say, you know, it does get better, there's light at the end of the